Welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast for December 2023. We're talking about dark nonfiction books that are coming out this month. My name is Carolyn, and I'm here with my creepy co-host, Katie.
Hello.
And we are filming video for this podcast. So if you're listening in the car or on your jog or at the gym, hello. But you can also come back and watch us on YouTube and Facebook, but not Instagram, not today. So we're talking about dark nonfiction books that are coming out that we have not yet read.
Yes.
We're going to be throwing scannable QR codes up on the screen. And in our YouTube video, we will have clickable affiliate links. If you buy the book, we get a small, tiny commission. We are required to let you know that. Of course, we're happy to. So Katie, start us off with the first super dark nonfiction book that's coming out in December 2020.
Yes. And it has a cool cover, so you definitely need to come watch it if you aren't able to yet join us. So this is called Body Genre Anatomy of the Horror Film Horror and Monstrosity Studies series.
You sound so gleeful.
I am a little bit. It's a cool, I love this whole thing. This is a regardless of the signage and the cover of the book, because it totally has like that old school font for horror movies and whatnot. This is a scholarly book. This is published by University Press of Mississippi. It's $110 right now on Amazon, so it's a biggin. So what this book is about, it is the groundbreaking work of our author, David Scott Diffrient. They explore largely understudied facets of cinematic horror, from the various odors permeating classic and contemporary films to the wetness, the sliminess, and stickiness of these productions, which he argues practically scream out for a tactile mode of textural analysis, as much as they call for more traditional forms of textual analysis. So dating back, this is going to be a lot. Dating back to Carol Clovers and Linda Williams' pioneering work on horror cinema, film scholars have long conceptualized this once disreputable category of cultural production as a, quote, body genre. However, despite the growing recognition that horror serves important biological and social functions in our lives, scholars have only scratched the surface of the genre with regard to its affective, corporeal, and sensorial appeals. Ooh, so many words. Our author animatizes horror films in much the same way that a mad scientist might handle the body, separating and recombining constitutive parts. I can't
I've never heard that word.
As into a whole, a new analytical whole. Furthermore, he challenges the tendency of scholars to privilege human over non-human beings and calls into question ableist assumptions about the centrality to horror films of sight and sound, to the near exclusion of other forms of sense experience. So, clearly, very scholarly. If you are really into this, I like that we are encompassing all of these senses here in study when it comes to horror. So this is called Body Genre. This is by David Scott Diffrient.
And I am just delighted that you had to read that.
I know. I'm like, Carrie. This is a lot.
My next book is super easy to talk about. But it is a serious topic, very serious. This is not going to be a fun read. It's Death Dust, The Rise, Decline, and Future of Radiological Weapons Programs. It's by William C. Potter. It comes out December 19 from, let's look at the publisher. It's going to be like a university press. Yes, Stanford University Press. So the post-war period, as we know, saw increased interest in the idea of relatively easy to manufacture, devastatingly lethal radiological munitions, whose use would not discriminate between civilian and military targets. That sucks.
Yeah.
Death Dust explores the largely unknown history of the development of radiological weapons designed to disperse radioactive material without a nuclear detonation. So they are going to look at case studies across the United States, the Soviet Union, United Kingdom, Iraq, and Egypt. The authors illuminate the historical drivers and impediments to radiological weapons innovation. They're going to examine how new, dire geopolitical events, such as the war in Ukraine, and this book is already outdated because they didn't know about Israel Hamas,
Yeah.
encourage other states to pursue radiological weapons because they don't have nukes and can't get them, right? And it's analyzing the impact of the spread of such weapons on nuclear deterrence and the non-proliferation regime. So this is a very serious, probably boring if you're not into the topic, book. Super important for people that are in those industries, though, and need to understand what's going on. That is Death Dust, The Rise, Decline, and Future of Radiological Weapons Programs. And now I want to put a bunker in my backyard and go hide in it.
I'm going to come join you. All right. My next book, not as scary serious. It is called Dream Witchery, Folk Magic, Recipes and Spells from South America for Witches and Brujas. This comes out December 8th. This is by Elhoim Leafar. So they are a Venezuelan practitioner, and they present more than 70 spells, charms, folk remedies, and exercises to help you understand the world of dreams. This is cool. So with his wealth of experience, our author demonstrates what dream witchery is, or what dream witchery is, and why it's important, and how you can actually practice it. So this teaches you a lot of aspects of dream work, like how to use dream altars, journals, pillows, herbs, crystals,
cool.
incense. I know. I was like, I've never heard of this. This sounds really cool. So you can also, of course, learn how to interpret your dreams. You can learn how to do lucid dreaming, which I unfortunately know how to do. It's a blessing and a curse.
Would you prefer not to? Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't. So you can also learn how to communicate with your spirit guides, protect yourself through all of this in your dreams. They share activities and stories specially chosen to help you develop your mediumship and clairvoyance, perform rituals, create infusions, and so much more. It also features spells from over 15 contributors who specialize in Wicca, Hoodoo, and Brazilian and Cuban folk traditions. And I love that they've given us an entire list of all of the contributors. So they're giving all of the recognition that they're supposed to all of these people. They are listed in that description of Dream Witchery. This is by Elhoim Leafar. I kind of want to pick it up, actually, because I dream all the time. Maybe that's my thing and I didn't know about it. What is next for you?
My next book is Grave History,
Ooh.
Death, Race, and Gender in Southern Cemeteries. It comes out December 15 from University of Georgia Press. They would know about this topic. It's by Cami Fletcher, the editor. Ashley Towell is an editor. Carol West, a contributor, etc., and 9 more. So grave sites not only offer the contemporary viewer the physical markers of those remembered, but also a wealth of information about the era in which the cemeteries were created. These markers hold keys to our historical past and allow an entry point of interrogation about who's represented, as well as how and why. Grave History is the first volume to use Southern cemeteries to interrogate and analyze Southern society and the construction of racial and gendered hierarchies from the antebellum period through the dismantling of Jim Crow. Through an analysis of cemeteries throughout the South, including Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland, Missouri, and Virginia. From the 19th through the 21st centuries, this volume demonstrates the importance of using the cemetery as an analytical tool for examining power relations, community formation, and historical memory. Each chapter is followed by a learning activity that offers readers an opportunity to do the work of a historian and apply the insights gleaned from the book to their own analysis of cemeteries. So the interdisciplinary group of people that wrote this book includes scholars, historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, and social justice activists. So this is really intriguing. It's Grave History, Death, Race, and Gender in Southern Cemeteries. And it is $114. It's from the University of Georgia Press, and it comes out December 15.
Wow, that sounds interesting. My next book is Historical Dictionary of Horror Literature. This is by Mark Fabrizi, and it comes out December 15. Stories of vampires, werewolves, zombies, witches, goblins, mummies, and other supernatural creatures have existed for time immemorable or immemorial. I can't say anything anymore.
It's been a long day of podcasting
It's such
and
a
live
long
streaming.
day.
Katie's been up since like 4, you guys.
So anyway, these creatures have existed forever, and scary stories are among the earliest types of fiction ever recorded. Of course they are, because we're scared of everything. Historical Dictionary of Horror Literature is an invaluable aid to study horror literature, including influential authors, texts, terms, subgenres, and literary movements. So this book contains a chronology of an introduction and an extensive bibliography, which is good. It is scholarly. It is $150 right now.
Ooh-wee.
So the dictionary section has more than 400 cross-referenced entries covering authors, subgenres, tropes, that's cool, awards, organizations, and important terms related to horror. In fact, I think I need this, actually. I mean, this would be a cool thing to just have on hand if you are doing horror or specialize in horror at all. So this is a very cool resource for students, researchers as we are, and anybody who wants to learn more about horror in all of its mediums and forms. This is the Historical Dictionary of Horror Literature. This is by Mark Fabrizi.
If anybody is watching and saw my eyes go to the side all of a sudden while Katie was talking, it's because I'm home alone, for sure. Bob's gone. And I hear creaking in the stairway.
No,
So
that's creepy.
If I got murdered while live streaming, please call
God. I will.
That was creepy. I hope it's just the house settling because it's been raining so hard.
I-
Woo! My next book is The Lost Tomb, and hopefully I'm not the person buried in it in the next
Oh my
2 minutes.
God.
The Lost Tomb and Other Real-Life Stories of Bones, Burials, and Murder by Douglas Preston, the famous author that's very prolific. This came out December 5 from Grand Central Publishing. What's it like to be the first to enter an Egyptian burial chamber that's been sealed for thousands of years? Where might a blocked doorway or newly excavated corridor lead? And what might the stupendous tomb reveal about the most powerful pharaoh in Egyptian history? From the jungles of Honduras to macabre archaeological sites in the American Southwest, Douglas Preston's journalistic explorations have taken him across the globe. He broke the story of an extraordinary mass grave of animals killed by the asteroid impact that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. He explored what lay hidden in the booby-trapped money pit on Oak Island, and he roamed the haunted hills of Italy in search of the monster of Florence. When he hasn't been co-authoring best-selling thrillers featuring FBI agent Pendergast, Douglas Preston has been writing about some of the world's strangest and most dramatic mysteries. I had no idea. So The Lost Tomb brings together an astonishing and compelling collection of true stories about buried treasure, enigmatic murders, lost tombs, bizarre crimes, and other fascinating tales of the past and present. And I'm so glad I read that in a cheerful voice. That's The Lost Tomb by Douglas Preston, and it came out December 5 from Grand Central Publishing.
Oh, wow. Okay. My next book is the Magus. Magus. Oh boy, Katie. The Art of Magic from Faustus to Agrippa. A revelatory new account of the Magus, the learned magician, and his place in the intellectual, social, and cultural world of Renaissance Europe.
Whoa.
So, in literary legend, Faustus is the quintessential occult personality of early Europe. I actually didn't know that. Learn something new.
I'm going to have to look up or read the book.
Yep. So the historical Faustus, however, was something quite different. A magus, a learned magician, fully embedded in the scholarly currents and public life of the Renaissance. And he was hardly the only one. Anthony Grafton argues that the Magus in 16th century Europe was a distinctive intellectual type, both different from and indebted to medieval counterparts as well as contemporaries like the engineer, the artist, the Christian humanist, and the religious reformer. Alongside these better-known figures, the Magus had a transformative impact on the social world. This book details the arts and experiences of learned magicians, including Marsilio Ficino, Pico della
I thought you were going to say Pico della Gallo.
That sounds pretty good right now. We have Johannes Trithemius.
Okay.
Katie can't
You don't have to do it. You don't have to read.
So our author explores their methods, the knowledge they produced, and the services they provided, and the overlapping political and social milieus to which they aspired, often the circles of kings and princes. During the late 15th and early 16th centuries, these men anchored debates about licit and illicit magic, the divine and the diabolical, and the nature of what good and bad magicians look like. So over time, they turned magic into a complex art, which drew on contemporary engineering as well as classical astrology, probed the limits of what was acceptable in a changing society. So this sounds really interesting. I've never studied this part of history before, and this would be really cool. Clearly I need it. So this is Magus, the Art of Magic from Faustus to Agrippa by Anthony Grafton.
My final book today, I think, let me check. Yes. Is Myths of the Underworld. Timeless tales of the afterlife, love, revenge, my favorite, fatal attraction, and more from around the world. It includes stories about Hades and Persephone, Kali, the Shinigami, and more. It's by Lindsay, Christinee, comes out December 12th from Ulysses Press, aptly named. You can immerse yourself in stories of gods and goddesses of the underworld and explore how themes of death, love, and revenge are depicted in folklore and mythology by different cultures around the world. Americans aren't the only people with enemies to lovers tropes.
Yep, that's true.
Myths of the Underworld is a vibrant collection of 10 retellings of forbidden love, acts of vengeance, and naive attractions. It's been modernized for today's reader. Thank you for that. We need help. These diverse stories span time and space. The stories include Hades and Persephone, the classic myth from ancient Greece; Kali, the Indian goddess and wife of Shiva, known for her fierceness on the battlefield; Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god of the underworld; the Shinigami, Japanese spirits of the underworld; Maman Brigitte, the Haitian intermediary of death; Gamab, the Namibian god of fate who gifted rain to mankind. We live in Seattle. Thank you,
That's
Gamab.
cool.
Hel, the Norse overseer of the underworld; Sedna, the Inuit goddess of the sea and underworld. And we're going to learn about the Sand Hills, the home of the dead for the Blackfeet Nation. This sounds really cool, and I think I need to add it to my reference shelf. It's Myths of the Underworld by Lindsay, Christinee, and it comes out December 12th.
And finally, I have another big scholarly book because I needed it apparently today. It's When Death Falls Apart, Making and Unmaking the Necromaterial Traditions of Contemporary Japan. This is by Hannah Gould. So this is briefly what it says. Through an ethnographic study inside Japan's Buddhist goods industry, this book establishes a method for understanding change in death ritual through attention to the dynamic life force of necromaterials. In Fukuyama Mountainside, also, the quote, graves of the graves, houses acres of unwanted headstones, the material remains of Japan's discarded death rites. In the past, the Japanese dead became venerated ancestors through sustained ritual offerings at graves and at Butsudan, a Buddhist altars installed inside the home. But in 21st century Japan, this intergenerational system of care is rapidly collapsing. Interesting. So, in noisy carpentry studios, flashy funeral goods showrooms, neglected cemeteries, and cramped kitchens where women prepare memorial feasts, our author Hannah Gould analyzes the life cycle of Butsudan, illuminating how they are made, circulate through religious and funerary economies, mediate intimate exchanges between the living and the dead. And as the population ages, families disperse and fewer homes have space for large lacquer cabinets, eventually fall into disuse. What happens, she asks, when a funerary technology becomes obsolete? And what will take its place? So our author examines new products better suited to urban apartments, miniature urns and sleek altars that are inspired by Scandinavian design. Even reliquary jewelry is an option. She
Wow.
visits an automated columbarium. I've never heard of this word, columbarium, and considers new ritual practices that embrace impermanence. At an industry expo, she takes on the role of a quote demonstration corpse. Throughout this book, Gould invites us to rethink memorialization and describes a distinct form of Japanese necro society, one based on material exchanges that seek to both nurture the dead and disentangle them from the world of the living. Whew. So this is a lot.
Wow, I kind of want to be a demonstration corpse. And if that's a creepy stranger creaking on my stairs, I could be one today.
Stop. I'm going to go over there right now. Oh my God. So this sounds interesting as somebody that has visited Japan and has seen all like those beautiful, I mean, the cemeteries honestly were some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Nice.
But it makes sense. All of this makes sense in an urban setting. Yeah, this sounds like a really cool study. This is $94 on Amazon right now. It might shift in price, but this is called When Death Falls Apart. This is by Hannah Gould. And that wraps up our podcast episode of nonfiction releases that are coming out December of 2023. Make sure to stay tuned every Wednesday and Friday for new episodes. Join us on our YouTube channel where you can actually see QR codes and links to all of these things that we are showing you, all of our affiliate stuff.
And our faces.
And our faces. The most important part, our beautiful faces. And make sure to spread the word of Dark Side of the Library to your loved ones. Share the beauty of Gothic and horror reads to them because we love it here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next live stream.